So we will start with the life process chapter, and this chapter has a very high weightage out of all the biology chapters that you have. So this chapter of biology has a lot of weightage if you compare it with the rest of the three chapters that you have for biology, heredity and evolution, and other two chapters. I think 12 or something, these weightage is there, which you can see in the circular as well. So what do you understand by life process? What are life processes? Basic biological processes that are needed for organisms to survive. What are those basic four biological processes that a human being performs in order to survive? Nutrition, good. Excretion, yes. Digestion, respiration, one, two, three, four. Reproduction, even transportation, you can say. Transportation is also one of the life process. Now, as mentioned that these are the basic biological processes that are needed for organism to survive. So how can you define characteristics in terms of survival? Like what all characteristics you can define in order to make sure that if an organism or if somebody fulfills this criteria, then he can be called as alive, and if he or she doesn't fulfill that criteria, or any object, if it doesn't fulfill that criteria, that particular object can be put in the category of non-living things. So what are all these criterias? I think you have done it in standard 6, where you had this chapter called characteristics of living things. You learned various characteristics, that living things respire, living things breathe, and all this. Yeah. Hmm. But if you are telling respiration, breathing, and all these things, think about an animal who is sleeping. Can you notice the respiration movement or breathing movement in that organism? If respiration has to be a criteria for deciding this thing, can you notice that? Yes, the rib cage move, or we can feel a little. If we make our attention more and more focused one, then we can do it. Yes, pulse rate and all these things. But then we have to focus it very, very in a detailed manner in order to classify it as a living thing or non-living things. So. Similarly, growth is one such factor. Like if we see it growing, then we say it is living thing or non-living things. So movements over very small scales will be invisible to the naked eyes. Movement of molecules. For example, is this invisible molecular movement necessary for life? Whatever movements we talked about, that were pretty much visible to us, like respiration, breathing, all these things. But the in terms of micro scale, when we talk about, that is a movement of molecule, can this be also defined as a criteria? Yes. So if we ask this question to a professional biologist, they will say yes. Movement of molecules can be one of the criterias in judging that whether something is alive or not alive. Okay. In fact, viruses do not show any molecular movement in them. So can we call viruses as a whole non-living things because they are not showing any molecular movement? And as the professional biologists say that movement of molecule is necessary for something to be classified as living thing. But viruses, they do not show this molecular movement. Okay, until they infect some cell. This line is important, which is written in the bracket. So, and that is why partly there is a controversy about whether they are truly alive or not. So, you know the controversy going on regarding viruses, whether they can be truly classified as living thing or non-living thing, because when they are present outside, they behave as non-living thing. But when they infect some host cells and when they use their machinery, they start behaving as a living thing. Okay, that is one thing. Now, why are molecular movements needed for life? We have seen in earlier classes that living organisms are well organized structures. They have tissues have cells have smaller components in them, and so on. Okay, because of the effects of the environment, this organized, ordered nature of living structure is likely to keep breaking down. Whatever cell we have, then we have tissues, then organs, organ system, organisms. These particular ordered nature of living structures, they are likely to keep degrading over time because of environmental effects. So it is very important for our body to have a repair mechanism. Okay, so if order breaks down, the organism will no longer be alive. So living creatures must keep repairing and maintaining their structures if he or she has to survive. So this was a basic introduction of this chapter, what we are going to learn. Yes, enzymes, what all nutrient you get from the food material, they all are important and they come under the category of molecules. Okay, so let's start with the PPT. Yes. So general things we are going to cover in today's class. Different changes or functions or maintenance process that goes in the body of the living organism. These process need energy. So suppose if some cells are damaged, some tissues are damaged, then if the body needs to repair it, it needs energy, right? What are these process? Energy, these process we have already discussed, like the respiration, transportation, excretion, circulation, it comes under transportation only. Energy from outside has to be taken in and converted into energy that can be used by the body. This we all do, right? When we intake our food material, what we are doing, we are getting the energy from the food material, and this process is called as nutrition. Energy from food and oxygen is needed for maintenance and repair and to grow, right? So whatever energy that you are getting from food and oxygen during your respiration process, whatever ATP molecule, ATP is an energy packet. So whatever energy is needed, that energy is needed for maintenance and repairing thing. Yes, Harsha, I'll solve that. Just mail me that out. This energy has to be sent all over the body to be used, and after it is used, the waste has to be taken to the proper location. So it should not happen like you are eating the food material and only one part of your body is getting the energy, only one cell is getting the energy, or only one organ is getting the energy. That is something which we don't want as a human being, because our body structure is very, very complex, right? So it has to be utilized and it has to be sent to all the body parts so that it can be used, and the waste can be whatever it has to be, it is generated, that can be thrown out from the body. That is transportation. Proper locations means, see, for waste disposal, no other organs will be utilized except kidneys. So that kidney is the proper location, Soham. You can't, the body can't send it to lungs or heart for excretion purpose. The body has made a well defined role. Okay, correct site, target site, you can say. Yes. Food and oxygen has to be taken all over the body. The useless and harmful waste products have to be collected from different body parts to be thrown out. And similarly, once all the body cells utilize this energy, they will always generate some harmful and waste product, okay, in the form of carbon dioxide. So body again has to collect the waste product from all the sides, and again it has to be thrown out. The energy, when it reaches the location, has to be actually used. That is respiration. A general thing. I mean, don't get confused. This is a general information given about all the life process. So, you know, in respiration, we respire, we inhale oxygen, we exhale carbon dioxide. When we inhale oxygen, what is that oxygen doing? That oxygen is combining with our food material, it is breaking down that food material, and whatever energy is released, that energy we are using. The food has to be burned. Yes, it is a slow burning process which you will study in detail in higher classes, using oxygen in order to create energy for the body parts to use. Okay, the waste, when it reaches the location, it has to be sent and has to be thrown out of the body. So this particular statement comes under excretion whenever they talk about throwing waste material outside the body. There are many more, but we are just going to look at these ones in this chapter. So four process we are going to look in very, very detail. One is nutrition, respiration, then transportation. Under transportation, we are going to cover transportation in human beings also and in plants also. And then last process is excretion. So four processes are there in standard 10th, right? So this is one thing. Four process. Some organisms that are made up of one cell or few cells don't have different organs for these different purpose. Yes. So if I give you an example of amoeba, amoeba has specialized structures for carrying out nutrition, transportation, respiration, or excretion. Yes. No. So only it has one cell, and that one cell is performing all these functions. Larger organisms like human beings, they have different organs for different purpose. Like for nutrition, we have stomach, we have small intestine. For transportation, we have heart, which is our circulatory system. Then for respiration, nostrils, nose, trachea, all this. And for excretion, kidneys. So basically, you can think of it like this. So oxygen and food we are getting from nature. Okay, food means we are getting it from plant, and oxygen we are getting it from air or atmosphere. And whatever waste product that we are releasing, that is again sent back to the nature, and it is recycled one. So this is all about the content part that we are going to cover it today. So you are supposed to solve four questions which are there in the on page number 95. First question is, why is diffusion insufficient to meet the oxygen requirements of multicellular organisms like humans? So diffusion you have done in 9th standard, right? What do you mean by diffusion? Movement of particles from high concentration area to low concentration area. Correct. Do we require semi-permeable membrane for this? Yes. Do we require semi-permeable membrane for diffusion process? No, we don't require. Then for under which process we require a semi-permeable membrane? We require it for osmosis. Okay, so if you talk about a multicellular organism like human beings, you can take. In our case, why diffusion is insufficient to meet the oxygen requirement? See, our oxygen requirement we fulfill using respiration. And for our body, we have well defined structures, right? We have nostril, trachea, then windpipe, all these things, lungs, and all. We don't fulfill our oxygen requirement by the process of diffusion. Can you think so? You can think of an example where you open a perfume bottle in one room, and the smell of that perfume bottle can reach up to how much level? I mean, how much distance it can go to? Can it go to can it go to, or can it travel to a very large distance? Yes, maximum one room, which is next to the room in which you have opened the perfume bottle, maybe at the max. Yes. So how can you expect this diffusion process to meet the oxygen requirement of a multicellular organism like human being? We have such a vast diversity and complex organism. If we are dependent on diffusion for oxygen requirement, it will not be able to meet the requirements for each and every cell. But it can only again travel it to some distance, not to a very very large distance, up to 5 meters or things like that. उसका भी एक restriction होगा. So first of all, because it cannot fulfill the requirement of large body size, then multicellular organisms like human being, we have specialized body parts as I discussed for different functions. If we are dependent on diffusion, then in diffusion, all the body cells will not be in contact. So again, the body cells requirement for oxygen will not be met, and therefore diffusion is insufficient. Okay, these are the pointers given. You just don't copy these pointers as it is. If you can just elaborate on these pointers in 1 or 2 lines at the max, that will be good. Okay, so just don't copy these pointers as it is. Second is, what criteria do we use to decide whether something is alive or not? So this is a common question. You can write reproduction, you can write respiration, movement, or growth. Okay. What are the outside raw material used for by an organism? Yes. What all raw materials we require? Oxygen to burn the food, and food to get the energy, which we ultimately get it from. Yeah, sunlight is also one of the source. That is the ultimate source actually. What process would you consider essential for maintaining life? If you want to maintain life, if you want to survive, what all four process you would consider? So these are the four process. We would require nutrition for repair and maintenance. We would require transportation process also, because it is very very important that whatever food you are eating, whatever nutrients you are getting from that food, that nutrient should be transported to each and every cell of your body. Okay. Then third one is respiration, because if respiration will not take place, you will not get oxygen. If you will not get oxygen, that oxygen will not combine with the food material. If it will not combine with the food material, it will not release energy. And the fourth one is excretion to throw out the waste material. It is asking for the raw materials used by an organism. So raw materials is food, now the whatever food we get it from plants, and the oxygen. So that is the raw material in our case. That these two entities we require for survival. And that they have also mentioned that it should be outside raw material. They are asking what are outside raw material. And if they also ask like for what purpose it is used for, then you can mention that also. So you can club it now. Like they have mentioned the outside raw material is food. And for what purpose it is used? To get energy. Outside raw material is oxygen. For what purpose it is used? It is used for getting the energy. Okay, that question is for 1 marks if you can see over here. So I think the 2 points are enough for a 1 mark question. Okay, so rest we will complete it. The rest part nutrition we will complete for tomorrow.
If you like our videos, do share them and subscribe to our channel. If you want awesome quizzes, write to us. Keep watching and keep learning with Walnut.